All right, we're back. One more night to cap off the end of a good year. There were highs, lows. We'll look back at what we've learned and where we're headed. Let's do it one more time.
All right, everybody, it is that time of the week. The best podcast here in the state of Colorado coming at you one more time for the regular scheduled season 2 with the Throwin Sliders podcast. I'm Brandon Hall. He's Blair Cooper on the mic tonight. And I'm almost calling this like a race. Kind of cool. Yeah, we're back with you one final time. Obviously, we'll kind of go through what we got planned in the off season and so forth. But been a couple weeks since we were on here. So yeah, Blair, how you been since we last spoke?
Good, man. It feels like it's been a long time, but at the same time, everything's been a blur. My phone doesn't ring as much. All the guys are winding down for the end of the season, and it's just starting to get into that fall rhythm.
Yep, absolutely. And for, I think, most of the tracks, it's champions have been crowned, and on the national tour, they only got a couple weeks left as well on the dirt side. So yeah, it's that time. And the break was nice. Kind of give Blair and I an opportunity to catch our breath and give you a good last show. So we've been kind of spitballing with each other, throwing stuff at the wall, seeing what's going to stick as far as what we wanted to do. So yeah, here we are. I think first off, and rightfully so, there's been a lot of people, and we'll get into this a little bit later, they come up to Blair and I, whether it's at the track or wherever, and kind of ask what goes on behind the scenes. So, first and foremost, I think we got, I have to thank Blair and Tara for everything that they've helped kind of put into this. I know at the beginning of the season, for those that kind of followed along, we split from the asphalt side and strictly just focused on dirt this year under the Throwin Sliders, the Scrubbin' Tires media brand. And then, of course, just picked up with season 2 for the Throwin Sliders podcast. So that was number one early on, right in the year. And I think it was a success in large part. But Blair and obviously Tara have helped made this go, because doing this alone on the dirt side would be pretty challenging and quite boring without me in the driver's seat and stuff like that. So thank you to Blair and Tara first and foremost, and then our great sponsors, right? Obviously we had a Racing Rowdy Ranch come back on board, and that's kind of something Blair and I started a year ago now, and just kind of with prices and tariffs and stuff like that, it's real. And we saw the impact there, but you guys continued to show support. We made some cool hats and collaborations with various people across the way, but kind of dwindling down, I'll say, kind of closing the doors on there just because prices, we're not going to sell hats to the customers that are overly priced and stuff like that. But when prices go up for materials and patches and stuff like that, it's just hard to, keep up if you don't do that for a living, so you can get, better pricing. But nevertheless, it was a fun run. So, and then we obviously had Mountain Ops. You've heard Blair and I preach about that. That was kind of a midway through 3/4 of the season edition. And we were just thrilled to have them. They've been so supportive of us and everything that we're doing. And obviously going into the next year, like I said, we'll talk about that later in the show, but hope to give more, giveaways out, and just get you guys on board with them, because they're such a great company and their beliefs are kind of right in line with what Blair and I believe in. So huge shout out, to Mountain Ops, and everything that they've done in the, half to 3/4 of a season that we had. It's just been awesome to see what you guys are able to, give back to us in a sense. And then in return, we give it back to you by offering discounts and products and stuff like that. So, I'll pass to Blair for, the next, I guess we'll call it one, with Hamilton and Bear Electric, but Blair, floor is yours.
Yeah, no, we're just looking forward to having them come on board. We haven't really gone any further yet. I was actually going to see what direction and how far they're going to take it with services and products offered, but we'll get more info on that. But yeah, if you guys are ready to stock up in the off season, we've been singing their praises. Obviously, they helped me out a lot and made life easy for me, because if you're in a desert for stuff like race car parts and everything here in town, we've got some other news probably coming there too. And I didn't even get to chat about Brandon, but we'll start pushing some of that stuff. But anyway, glad to have everybody that helped us this year come on board, and even my personal sponsors on the race car. It's any of this now, even the podcast isn't cheap to put on. A lot of it came out of our own pockets, and we just believed in it. And when Brandon, I think, I don't know why anybody wants to even hear me say anything. I don't know who the hell I am, but it's been really a lot of fun. And 2 years, I can't believe how the time goes. I think that's the only thing that really bums me out in life, is like, man, I just wish we had more time. But all the relationships and stuff from the people and the fans that watch the show and interact with us has been just really great. So I'm always grateful for all the opportunities I've gotten, and thanks to you for being probably dumb enough to bring me on. So bad history you are, and it's been a lot of fun, man. And even getting you to go to the races, and because people didn't know, they're like, oh, we thought you guys had been friends forever. I'm like, no, we actually met just by me talking shit to him on the podcast.
Yeah.
And now we go racing together and have a lot of fun. So,
yeah, cool. Absolutely. Yeah. And to your point, you make a great point, actually, and we say this all the time. If you guys watch our show, or our post after the show, right, we always post the Spotify link to give you guys quick access to that. But in the details, we always try to thank you guys, because we've said it a million times, and I'll say it one more time tonight. If you guys didn't tune in every single week, whether it's live, going back, watching the show on Facebook or YouTube, or liking our reels, commenting, interacting, or listening to us on Spotify, Apple, all those podcasts, we wouldn't be here, right? Like, Blair and I can call each other up and talk about racing all day long, but to project this to you guys, and you guys buy in and interact with us and stuff, you guys honestly are the credit to all the sponsors we have, the show continuing on. So it's a tribute really to everybody that's, either interacted once or continue to interact every single week in any shape or form. Right. And so, yeah, kudos to you. And again, thank you to all of our partners. If you guys own a business or have an idea for sponsorship, we're all ears. Obviously, the more, the better, to give you guys more content and, potentially grow this. Obviously, Blair and I do have a day job that has to pay the bills, but this is kind of just a hobby, right? Like, we're, it's not any new news that Blair and I are not making a retirement fund off of this. We're just doing it for fun. So anything.
Yeah. I mean, we love, I think the one thing I've thought a lot about this is what we try to accomplish with this. And otherwise it is just us talking into the void. But I mean, even I think a couple things we're going to try to get back in the off season, maybe we can get some help with, is we talked about fire suits for safety crew. So we'll be posting some of that here coming up. If you got old fire suits, we're going to try to get track personnel into them. If you want to donate them, or, even if a business, but really just even anything's better than nothing. If you've got an old fire suit, you're just going to hang up or throw away or donate, or, maybe we can get those in touch with track safety crews, whether it's dirt or asphalt. It can go wherever you want it to. We just want to see guys.
SFI is SFI. So no matter the pavement.
Yeah. And, so on that, and then what we can do to help promoters improve their track. Sometimes they want to listen. Sometimes we've seen them actually take that advice and run with it. And sometimes they just tell us, whatever, we don't care, but that's their prerogative. I think you and I now have been to enough racetracks. I think I hit 11 in the last year and a half or something like that. So we're just definitely getting out there. Yeah. But I mean, even that, just, different places. You've been to quite a few tracks now too over the years, and you see what works and see what doesn't. And so, if we can make any changes or actually grow the sport too, I think that's probably what really kept me engaged and wanting to grow this. Cause I mean, I'll be doing this until I can't anymore, one way or another. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Well said. And, speaking of the fans, unfortunately, there you go. Big things coming from Hamilton Motorsports. Blair and I didn't get the time. I was deep diving into the analytics of the show, which we'll get to you. But Blair's putting these comments up. There's not a analytic, I don't think, filter that we can sort through to give the top fan award. But I will say some of the folks that he was just highlighting on the screen: Warren Rhodes, Danny McBride, Scott Bremkamp, BJ Sauer.
You're gonna screw it up.
I was reading a comment, but I didn't do it. But yes, just to name a few, and I'm sure there's 10, 15 other people that we can consider top fans, but you guys, I know, 7:30 on a Monday, there's a million things you could be doing, but you guys choose to tune in live with us. So we appreciate that. Yeah, I didn't get it wrong, BJ. But so top fans, shout out to all of the fans, but those individuals that I listed, and I'm sure I'm missing a bunch that just don't come to mind, Ryan Rader, all the I'm missing a crap ton, but
it's all the misfits of dirt track in the region.
Exactly. So yeah, we appreciate all you guys. Kudos to you for tuning in every single week. So did want to give you guys some of the analytical background because Blair and I were just actually reviewing it. It's quite astonishing
what a nerd you are. That's what's astonishing.
Well, I mean, it's cool, right? Like
it is.
We do all this work, and it's kind of cool to step back and be like, wow, we as the fans, viewers, and Blair and I did this. So starting with our top episodes on Spotify, just 2025, we had 484 total views and downloads just on Spotify. And I believe it's just pulling from Spotify, not Apple and all that. It could be pulling from all. Don't quote me on that. And our top episode was actually Jeff Hefner from back in late August. So and I think a tribute to Jeff Hefner, he promoted the shit out of that episode on his side. And it showed, right? I mean, I don't remember live views, how many we had, but a testament there. And then kind of coming in top 5, you had the swap show, the Western Plains swap show. We did a couple episodes there, and those were really big hits. And then I guess we'll call it third was Jen Woods, who ended up winning the championship this year. So really cool to see. And then Gary Land rounding out the top 5. So super cool analytics there on the streaming platforms, audio wise. So that was
that only counted absolute full plays, because otherwise, that was like 15,000 views on some of these. 15. I think that's probably about the records.
Yeah, and it did have. There's so many different.
Oh, I know, it's nuts.
I read a one on here. What was it? So moving into Facebook. So our Facebook views. So you had. Oh man, I saw it. It was 20. It had. I can't find it now, but nevertheless, it was like 28 days worth of just listening to us, which is a whole month of just people listening. Is crazy.
Oh man, people never get that time back.
Right. So thank you for wasting your time with us. But yeah, so in 2025, you guys attributed just on this live podcast 224.3 thousand views, and all of our content, which was post, reels, live episodes, anything we posted. Well, not post because you can't really view that. So reels and live episodes, 250,000 views just in 2025, which that is insane for, and we're not even going, 365 days, right? We're 3/4 of a year when we start in May, and, a couple one-off episodes, but that's pretty wild. 250,000. We had 5.5 thousand interactions, which is you guys engaging every Monday like you do, which that's if you think about, when you get a notification on your phone, someone commented, someone liked, imagine that times 5,500. Like that's a lot of notifications coming through. So Blair and I do, see all of them, which that's probably why my eyes hurt and I have glasses now. But yeah, pretty crazy. And the list continues to go on. We can go through how many 3-second views, 15-second views, 1-minute views, et cetera, et cetera. I saw earlier in deep diving this, it was like, let's see if it gives it to me. It was
this is what, if anybody wanted to peek behind the scenes, this is Brandon and I. I told you he's a nerd. If anybody didn't believe me, I was like, holy shit, you're type A. No, it is. It's just funny. We're kind of alike, but I thought I was pretty type A. You take the cake, brother.
Yeah, there it is. Watch time 28 days and 3 hours total, just in 1 year. And I, without going into it and boring you guys, there was like over 10 different countries, and some of those had like 0.1%, but it still counts, like all the way across the pond. Like I don't know who's listening to us, but shout out to you. Obviously, the majority of it is here in the U.S. and then filter down to the state, to the city. Doesn't give your name, but we can filter out all kinds of crazy stuff. So anyway, that's a peek behind the curtain. We do look at that obviously to gauge like how we're doing. It gives us a green arrow if the week or the day or the month has been good, and then obviously the reverse there if we need to step our game up on content. So, and we have been slacking, admittedly, the last couple of months, kind of with Blair going back to back race weekends, and I really have no excuse. Yeah, I have no excuse other than work and a 1-year-old, but nevertheless, so that's kind of the deep dive on the analytics side, and kudos to all you guys for that. Has nothing to do with Blair and I. That's just creating episodes, creating reels, and letting you guys waste your time with us every Monday. So.
I think it shows just the support that's come back for dirt track. We talked so much this season about how, Colorado National Speedway and the asphalt has just dominated the conversation in the state for so long. And I mean, obviously that's a place I love. We've talked about that. It's nothing against them. It's just that so much of this never got covered. I never heard a word about it. And I think that's completely starting to change. You obviously have
the analytics don't lie.
Yeah. I mean, you have 4 dirt tracks here. Hopefully there's going to be an addition of another one. We've been working to try to make that happen. Whether it ever comes to fruition or not, we'll see. But it really does seem like the state of the sport's getting healthier and healthier. And I know they said they're probably not going to release Flo's numbers, but when we talked with Chase Rodman, he was almost sure that it was going to overtake IndyCar in total views. Now, I mean, granted, you have 90 races or whatever, high limit 50, to their 15 or 20, but still, it's like, I mean, to be in that position even, it's pretty wild. So just to be a little bit, that's a lot of fun.
Yeah, and to your point, we touched on it almost every episode here in the later half of the year when we had guests on mainly. But it's cool to see. We're one tiny piece of the puzzle, right? There's thousands of dirt podcasts, and we're not even at the top of those, compared to Dirt Tracker or what have you. But all of these type of platforms are only helping, right? And then getting the younger crowd and maintaining the older crowd or the intermediate crowd and age wise to continue to watch, to continue to buy a ticket to the national shows and the local shows, right? Because obviously we're trying to drive more so the local and the regional scene and touch on the national stuff, because they got they have dedicated people that's their 9-to-5 job is to promote and everything. So it's on Blair and I and everybody watching regionally and locally every week to continue to grow that. And, I think we're doing a great job locally on this level. And it's, again, kudos to everybody putting asses in the seats and, interacting with us, trying to make the sport better and grow it.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the analytical part of it. So Blair and I just, for the rest of the episode, obviously we'll take your guys' comments, questions as well as we see them pop up. So don't hesitate, like you guys always do, just shoot them to us across the bow there. But Blair had some good ideas, and we'll kind of save the what's ahead in the off season and next year for kind of the last segment, if you will. But Blair, I'll pass it to you and fire away.
I actually meant to, I don't know if I sent you pictures or not, but I started stripping the car out, so I'm definitely early this year. It's almost completely torn apart, back to another bare frame again. And I was just
speaking of Type A.
I was like, this is so sad. But so no, I kind of wanted to just see maybe what we're kind of looking forward. It's always, like I said, the time thing bums me out a little bit. So when anything comes to an end, I was always that guy that, like, you never wanted to be the last one at the party, but I didn't want to leave. Like, dang, I'm sad this is over when you're having fun and everything. I feel like life's just gotten like that. I mean, especially you see that your little kid growing and the time flies by. But
maybe walking now. Can you believe that?
Oh, it's crazy. It just, it's like she's just born. But maybe what, and maybe what everybody's looking forward to. I always feel like this time of year, guys are starting to strip the cars, or they're either procrastinating, and then we've got always, obviously the Chili Bowl is probably the first big event of the year. What do you think you look forward to the most about the off season, or what's to come? I mean, is that your be all end all race, or is it more of getting into the what series or?
Yeah, I think that's, I would say in large part, you're correct as far as what I think. So I do, just like with racing, right? You take, the off season, you take a couple months, whatever the off season looks like for any individual racing. But as far as like the podcasting, because I'm not driving a car actively, any longer, but I'll admittedly, I won't lie, like a break from, because as Blair can attest to, and people have since found out by coming up to Blair and I in the pits or what have you, there's a lot of work that goes into this weekly, monthly, yearly. So, a little break from this, I do savor that a little bit, but after, it's like a week break, like we had last week. It feels longer than a week, right? So when 2 months go by and we haven't, Blair and I talk all the time, but when we haven't done anything on the podcast or under the media brand, it feels like a year, like just 2 short months, right? And we're talking 8 weeks of not podcasting, but so I savor a little bit of, a break from it all. Obviously I'm a huge college football fan. And so I get, that's the meat and potatoes of their season. So my I wouldn't say my focus goes away, but I just kind of switch gears in a sense, and obviously hunting and everything. So I kind of focus elsewhere. And then after, probably, I don't know, December, that's when my mind's like, hey man, I really miss racing and like, I want to do something. So that's when I'll start, hopping on iRacing and stuff like that. So, but to your point, yeah, I think the Chili Bowl in January, or even the shootout a couple weeks before that, I think that's for me what gets the blood pumping again. Like watching it, annoying my wife because I got to watch every single prelim night and all that stuff. So yeah, I would say for me, the Chili Bowl certainly is kind of the reset. Like, hey, I love racing.
Time to go.
I got to start watching. Yeah, and then it's just after that, it's kind of a, what other racing is available to watch, and then it's continuing to talk with Blair about the upcoming podcast season, which at that point's still 4 months out. But how can we get better? Things we can do better, stuff like that. So yeah, I would say a little break, and then the Chili Bowl kind of resets the clock in my head. Like, all right, it's racing season, even though it's for 2 weeks during that month of January. But yeah, what say you?
It's pretty much year round for me at this. I've pretty much given up everything else in my life. One, because of the cost. It's like I used to ski, used to hunt. It's like I don't even race go-kart. I'm like, I could probably put that money towards tires or something. So it really, luckily my wife hangs with me. We try to do a few little things. We'll go to the mountains, maybe go to Cripple Creek or something, go just do something. But, I think there was a couple of years 1 year where I waited till probably February to start really working on the car, putting it back together. And then there was the part shortage that year, like must have been 2020 or 2021 and shit. Then it was like coming up on into March and I'm still waiting on parts and trying to get stuff. And I was like, never again. Oh yeah. The Gateway Nationals in December. I forgot about that one. But so that to me, it's pretty much become a year-round thing. I'm just trying to build. This was 3 years of sprint cars, 2 years of podcast, and man, I'm starting to get full shelves. I'll start like laying out even the oil and gear oil. I've organized all my shelves; they're full, so I'm not waiting on anything anymore. Yeah, no, we definitely both are. I'm just a systems guy. You kind of know that. Like if I find a system and then I just have a hard time deviating, but also just the planning phase of it. And that seems to help me a lot, because we're still a small operation and trying to do that balance of how much money can I make and then what can you even budget for the next year and who's coming on board and who's backing out. I think I had 3 sponsors. I printed stickers. They basically everything but the contract, just did handshake deals. And then it's like, shit, I got the car stickered up. And then they're like, we're not doing it. I'm like, well, you just cost me money. Actually, I'd rather you just told me no. Yeah. So that kind of sucked, but you deal with it. You kind of, I think lessons learned there. Don't get stuff printed up until you either have the contract or the money. But when
I think it's different, from a driving perspective, because your mind really never does stop, even if you do take a break to go to the mountains or hunting or football or whatever you're doing in the off season. Like it's always in the back of your mind, like, shit, I got to tear the car down. I got to get this. I got to get this. So it's a little different mindset when you're not driving, but I guess when you're this vested in racing where you talk about it every week, like it's still on the back of your mind and stuff like that. But I think January is kind of the kickoff to like reset your brain, reset your body. Like, all right, it's a new year. Like, what can I do better as, you know, a driver or race team, or just a guy talking on a podcast and, you know, helping you out or what have you. So yeah, I would say you get 3 months really off, and then, you know, things start, you know, clicking in your head. And whether, like I said, the off season, we tried something different this year, and did a couple iRacing pretty late. I would say that was more springtime. But with the swap show that we did, obviously a lot of time and effort went into that, right? So probably a month's worth of coordinating who's going to be there, who would want to come on the live episodes, and yeah, stuff like that. So hopefully we get the invite to do that again, and maybe do more of them, right? I don't know how many other swap shows or live events are available to us in the off season, but
well, we got contacted about it, but I mean, a lot of times that's what's tough. It's like, it's on race day, you know. I mean, everybody that wants to do it, it's on race day. I was going to ask you, do you enjoy working on the car? Like when you were, I mean, is that something, or is it like, I have to do this to get to the track? I mean, there's some guys who absolutely love that side of it. And then, I mean, I kind of have learned to love it, but at first that wasn't really, I was like, this is just something I got to do to make it right. And now it's just like, I don't have a choice. And so you kind of fully embrace it, you know, because it's like, oh, you learn something. But did you love it, or was it just like, damn, I have to work on the car?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like with the Legend car, it was a little bit of a struggle because I bought everything basically used, and I knew I had to put a lot of time, work, and money into it. And so I was pissed off a lot of the time. My wife can attest to that. It did put a strain on our, I don't think we were married at that. No, we weren't. So our relationship at the time. And I just, you know, had to look in the mirror and be like, hey man, like racing is just a hobby. Like your family is going to be forever. So you got to take a chill pill. But with the Outlaw cart, it was basically brand new. So I didn't have to build anything, you know, outside of making little adjustments to, you know, fit my style. And then obviously the graphics and stuff. And then it just becomes maintenance, like routine maintenance. Like you might break something minor over the weekend. But yeah, it was just maintenance. So yeah, I looked forward to it. You know, my 9 to 5 job is, you know, doing this, except for talking live. It's a lot of keyboard warrior stuff. So it is nice to get your hands dirty and be hands-on, because I am that type of guy. But yeah, I would say I looked forward to it. It was just kind of routine at that point. But yeah, and you can attest, some nights are like, especially when you break something major, it's like, oh my God, the stress to get it done and get to the next show. But yeah, it's a good question.
Yeah. Well, I just didn't know if if like, you know, because obviously you came out and helped me. Is that something, say we were in a different world, if you were able to travel and stuff, would that be something that interests you, even being on a team?
Yeah, 100%. I always told myself when I was a single guy living out in Charlotte that if my renewable energy career didn't take off or come to fruition, that I would go to a shop and be whatever, or on a pit crew or something like that. So yeah, if I had the time and that paid the expenses, you know, lifestyle, you know, I would certainly do it in a heartbeat, just because, you know, and I would even consider taking a pay cut to do it, just because not a lot of people go to work every day and they're like, hell yeah, I can't wait to go do whatever it is that you love. In this case, it would be, hell yeah, I can't wait to go freaking wash the window of Kyle Larson's car. Like, you know, whatever it is, like,
Yeah.
you know, it'd be fun. So yeah, I would certainly consider that if it was, you know, the travel frequency was there and the pay was there for sure.
Yeah, no, that's, you know, and I think I'm, like I said, I learned to love working on the car, and even Warren said, you know, races are won in the shop.
Absolutely.
But I don't think I could be somebody's pit crew. It just would eat me alive to not be driving. I've even, you know, tried to help on some stuff, unless it's like my brother, then obviously it's like, okay, this is awesome. Cause you know,
when I think stuff, for me, like the last couple of years helping you out, I think if you were driving an Outlaw cart, it would kill me, because I'd be like, damn, I got one sitting in the garage or whatever. But like sprint cars, I've never been in one. I would like to test drive one maybe someday, but I'm not sure I would want to go race one, because you guys are fucking nuts. But you know, so it doesn't affect me in that sense. Like it actually alleviates that itch for me to be around it, get my hands a little bit dirty and pretend like I know what I'm doing, type of thing. So yeah, it's been good for me to get out there. I obviously wish I could go to more, especially the out of town stuff, because I've seen El Paso and I-76 and Pueblo just kind of on rerun. But yeah, to get out of town would be cool. But no, it doesn't bother me, you know, to be like, damn, get all bummed out like, oh, I should be driving or whatever. Like, I'm just excited to to be around it and not just talk through a screen about what happened over the weekend. So we're getting some comments now.
Wings are for birds, not race cars, old Barry. I
Barry.
almost drove a sport mod this weekend. He would have been. I got that call, and I thought, oh, but Barry wasn't going to be out there. So, I mean, if he saw me drive against him, he would retire immediately. So,
the sport mod god.
Yeah, I'd like to try one, but yeah, I mean, did you think anything was it different? I guess now, like you've been to the high limit shows. I mean, it feels to me like everything's pretty much run the same from national tour to even your regional local shows. Granted, you only went to pretty much local with me, but you know, was it basically what you thought it was? I mean, it seemed like. I mean, because obviously you learned a lot. I mean, you picked up a lot quick. I mean, even doing tire was like Brandon's like, I'm coming to the race. It's like, well, wear something loose fitting that you can sweat your ass off in because it's 100 degrees and you're gonna be working, buddy, and shit you fit right in. So
yeah, I mean, I think the national tour at El Paso a couple months ago, just with the time limits right in the pits, that was new to me. I've never experienced that. So, and of course we were making a lot of changes. So it was like, you know, blowing air horns and stuff. I was like, ah, shit, you know, that just puts another level of pressure on you, knowing that you have to, you know, be done and stuff like that. But I think we communicated well. So that was a learning experience for me. But as far as like non-national local shows, I think I'm, you know, used to that kind of ebb and flow. Obviously you hope that you don't have to be fixing stuff or making wholesale changes like we had to a couple times. But, you know, if duty calls, then we were up for it. So no, I think, you know, comparing it to a national level show, like you said, I don't really think it's that much different, right? I think, you know, a high limit show, I wasn't in the pits during the race, but leading up to it, it's still relaxed, still chill. You know, nobody's, you know, those guys obviously is, we made a mention there in the comments that, you know, races are won in the, you know, leading up to the night, not during the night. Then it just comes down to driver, or setup, I guess too. But no, I would say national shows are comparative to local shows. I mean, there's really no difference there.
It's weird, huh? It's just a traveling circus. That's really any of that is like fold up the tents, let's move down the road. But if you do it all the time, you know, Gosselin knows they've been on the road for God knows how long. You know, you get that 50, 60 races in. But and kind of speaking of, I guess to that point of all the series, because you and I watched, I mean, the only thing I was a little disappointed in this year, and everybody in the comments can let us know too, of what they thought was
Barry's grilling your ass.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, the mechanics race on me. Oh, that's what actually I got to call. I better not, Kelly. I've done the mechanics race before, and I actually felt really guilty when I got home for doing that because I took the trophy, and it was just so. Anyway, I think we're probably shouldn't. But what series do you think put on the best shows this year? And I'll preface that with saying I was a little disappointed in late model coverage, and obviously I'm not a late model guy, but I do enjoy watching them. I just don't know if it took a backseat to the sprint car this year. The same with midgets. I was kind of really looking forward to the Outlaw Extreme Midget Series. It seems like even nationally, you got some big USAC shows. You got Chili Bowl. Man, it just wasn't in your face this year. So maybe everybody can tell us too of what they thought, whether it was, you know, whatever class. I mean, it was like they had 1,000 cars at Boone. You know, so if you, depending on what you subscribe to and everything, as far as, you know, it's IMCA TV or Flow or Dirt Vision, maybe that makes a difference. But what everybody thought was the best series and what you thought, who did the best job of putting on shows this year?
Yeah, I you know, and I think you make a great point that it really depends on what subscriptions you subscribe to. So me, I you know, subscribe to all of them, which I need to cancel Dirt Vision, and I'll explain that in just a second. But I think, you know, with the limited time that I have, you know, nowadays with this and being a father and just life in general, you have to pick and choose, you know, kind of what, you know, you could sit there every night and either turn on Dirt Vision or, you know, IMCA TV or Flow or any of them, and kind of, you know, your relationship or marriage would probably struggle a little bit, I would say, if you did that. Well, yeah, that's true. But my wife is good for about 10 full races a year. And then she's like, all right, I can't, especially when I knock 5 of those out in January for the Chili Bowl. So I only got 5 left for the rest of the year. But and then watching NASCAR on top of it. But yeah, so I think you have to pick and choose. But so for me, picking and choosing obviously was Flow and the High Limit series. That's really all I watched this year. But I will say, and I made mention on previous episodes, and it's not a knock against Dirt Vision, but I just think that what Tony and Chase and that whole crew have done at Flow with High Limit is just eons above anything else from top to bottom, right? Coverage, what they talk about, the audio quality, the camera angles, the amount of cameras. I mean, you could go on and on and on. And to be honest, I can speak to a pricing point. Flow is cheaper than Dirt Vision. And I feel like just if you're speaking, 410 sprint car racing, High Limit versus World of Outlaws, like I just think outside of, Knoxville, right? Because obviously that's not a high limit show. So you're kind of stuck with Dirt Vision. But yeah, I just think Flow really takes the cake there. And I think they're on a trajectory that Dirt Vision isn't. And it, the analytics or the quality is showing that. So yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of biased.
I think you're right. I thought so too. And we had talked about, we were kind of wondering at the beginning of the season, because I originally was a little worried about both series, Outlaws and High Limit.
And I think World of Outlaws should be worried, to be honest with you. Like the
Dirt Vision thing, I think also contributed to that. I saw now I have seen, it is funny, the difference in era. I don't know if you've watched much of the Outlaw stuff lately, but they've got guys in the booth. It's kind of like old. It's, I would rather it be like an old school Dave Despain on Speed TV. But they've got commentary in the booth, and it looks like the old school Fox Sports, and it's like pre-race commentary instead of like that, and then they do have announcers down on the track and stuff. And it is better. It just feels like an older guard to me. And, if you would have asked me last year, if I had the choice, where would I have gone? I always thought, even just the name, the Outlaws, was so sick. But now in my mind, the show quality, and then if they keep splitting up the drivers with the talent pool, it's pretty even. I do still think when you go back to like PA or any of those places, the Outlaws probably has a tougher show overall, just to even make the race and run well there. But that's a tough one, and ASCS, Leon talking about ASCS, man, they talked about picked up coverage just by being under the Outlaws, but it's still that Dirt Vision deal, so it makes it a little bit tougher.
Yeah, and I think, and Kurt wants me to ask the same question to you, and I think you're touching on it, but even the Chili Bowl, right? Like that is not the High Limit crew doing that, but the coverage is, we've had outages. I think it was last year they had to let folks watch for free on YouTube, which I'm sure they took a hit there. There's going to be issues, but it's Flow Racing in general, the Flow Sports team, completely different announcers than what we have in High Limit, but I don't even know all the guys that are, at the Chili Bowl, but just phenomenal, coverage from top to bottom. So yeah, to your point, Kurt, I think Blair, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, to Kirk's point, if you want to talk more regional action, the best coverage in the country is Cali Dirt Videos, whether he's putting on GoPros on a ton of cars. So talk about bring back the NARC 410 series out west. I will say California is on a comeback, and you're seeing, for one, you have a huge talent pool, but for a long time, again, those guys got no shine. And now you're seeing those tracks are tough. They're tight. They're short. Whether it be midgets, wingless sprint cars are still alive there. It does seem like that's going the wingless route too, but I end up watching probably as much Cali stuff now, just because of Cali Dirt Videos as any of it, because for one, there's a ton of races going on there, and it's like, you've got big names, but they still might not be full-time national tour guys, because it'd be hard to travel from California all the way across the country. But you got nice cars and guys that are really making names.
I think even like stepping it down a notch, like there's other media companies like the Outlaw Carts, Fast Four Media, like they are, a Flow Racing of Outlaw Carts. Like if you're into that, like you can watch them all the time. I don't subscribe to that one, but just seeing, their content on social media, like they are from top to bottom. Like if you're I guess you'd call national tour outlaw kart driver, like your Fast Four Media does a phenomenal job. So yeah, I think it's, and there's always, and it's the same in like NASCAR, right? When they switch broadcasts 15 times throughout the year from Fox to NBC to Amazon to US, like, you're going to get different coverage. You're going to get different angles and opinions and views and stuff like that. And you just kind of, no one's going to be perfect, right? It's just the name of the game, but there are better, coverage networks, whatever streaming platforms you want to say. So yeah, that's an interesting question for sure. But I think Flow takes the cake there.
Yeah.
So let me bounce it to you real quick. So
sure.
Obviously, with we got a lot to still cover, but I got all night. So I guess, we talked about the confidence kind of level that I, witnessed from you or through you, however you want to word that. What, I guess, going into the season, if you set expectations for yourself or not, what was, I guess, your biggest takeaway from, running, at the top, kind of, some of the bad nights, right, where you didn't even make the feature one night, or running worse than you thought or expected you should based on capability and your equipment, and then finally winning your first sprint car race, to here we are now in the off season. What was the biggest takeaway from you from a driving perspective?
Yeah, I was actually thinking about this today. It is weird to me because I've only been racing 10 years. I mean, like actually circle track, dirt and asphalt, which sounds like a lot, but when you talk to guys my age who've been racing for 20 plus years, probably that's the good thing about my wife. Again, my life would be chaos, but she kind of puts it into perspective for me. It's like, you have done pretty well, but I went into this season honestly being like, we'll see where we stack up, but I expect to run in the top 3 every night locally, if not competing for wins. Especially because our first year out, it was like, man, we were on podiums, top 5s. It seemed like, and then, like I said, that Dunning-Kruger effect, I've talked about that a lot this year, of where when I had a little bit of knowledge, it actually hurt me as I got more comfortable and more confident with the car. And I think probably actually better at driving it and maybe not driving it as hard. So that first year I just went absolutely bug fuck, that's how I like to drive. But the confidence level for me, this was the first year I really bounced around when I thought, man, we've gotten more time. I know more, and I'm not performing as well for that. I had like a 4 race stretch where right up into that national, and granted, that shit's going to happen, but that was really a bummer. And then, go to Dodge City, didn't run well there, have a few nights it just sucked. And it really does it. That's why when we talked with Blake Hahn about it, it's like, I honestly, if I have a good night, I think, God, I'll go out there and run with Kyle Larson. I mean, that's just, you just feel like that, it's like, right. I can win anything, or if you give me the car, I can do it. And then you go to the other end and I'll think to myself, shit, you probably shouldn't even be driving. You're either washed up or you never were, or, I don't really let that stuff bother me, but it does sneak in there to where I'm like, I'll just outwork it until I get back to where I'm decent again. But you have those thoughts.
Yeah. Well, and I think I saw that at El Paso when you finished 3rd. I guess it was the last time you were there. Well, maybe second to last. But you just, unloaded the trailer, and it was just like a different aura that you had coming off of that last time you were there 2 weeks prior, that you didn't even make the feature. Granted, it was a national tour, but so yeah, I think you did well with compartmentalizing that, and just, not getting too high, not getting too low. And I think that comes with, time, but it was cool to watch that just organically. Because here I am, I've never even been in a sprint car, and it's like, what do I tell Blair other than, oh, keep your chin up, all the cliche stuff, but like,
I try not to pout,
yeah. And no. And you didn't, it was obviously, you could tell you were upset as anybody would be sitting up in the stands, knowing that you should be out there, that one night. But I think we
still had a good time.
But I think you somehow flipped a switch, and the last there was 3 races after that, including your first win, happened in that stretch. And and Blake Hahn talked about it. He's raced for all of his life essentially, and you will go through it, and BJ and all these guys can attest to that. When you race long enough, you're gonna, like I said a couple episodes ago, like, racing is one of those things where you're going to lose more than you win, unless you're just like a unicorn. And it's not a team sport where you realistically have a 50-50 chance of winning every game that you, or match that you play. But so it's just kind of cool. I wanted your perspective on that, because I think I saw that flip
honestly,
switch.
Yeah. And it is kind of like, I don't know, for me, it really, in the pits, if it's not going well, I just want to learn something from that night. Like we always try to take something from it.
Yeah.
And I'm very good at being like, so when we go out, when once whatever's happened during the day or whatever shit has gone wrong, when it's time for the feature or even heat, once we actually start racing, I have no thoughts. I mean, it literally, yeah, that's probably why so many guys actually love it. And I've heard that once the visor goes down, it's like, you don't worry about work. You have one thing to focus on. Yeah. No bullshit. And it's that part is very freeing. I think it's one of the addictive pieces of the racing. You have to be focused on what you're doing. And I just try to be a robot. Like I've literally looked at it like a forklift operator. It's like, this is what it takes to run this the correct way. You're going to make mistakes, but then you can back that up. And that's what I think racing is really all about. I mean, if you're just trying to improve, and then, the low part of that sucks. And then you tear up cars and then you do start thinking about the money and the time. And I mean, I went days where it was I found out like my limit is like 16 hours to still be a functional human being for multiple days. When we were rebuilding that car and the nights I put in, I can go 14 for probably almost a month, 12 to 14 hour days a month straight. And I'm fine, and that's getting on the road and racing still.
Sure.
You get past that, you start to get loopy and make mistakes.
Well, I think back to your point a couple minutes ago with you asked me, if I essentially missed it, being at the track but not driving. I will say, with work and life, like I've said on multiple episodes, probably by now in the 5 years I've been doing this, when you take that one to go signal, like you said, everything in the world. And I wish that on a weekly basis, it doesn't matter what I'm driving, any track, starting position, nothing. If I could just experience that feeling to just clear every stress that you may have, like that is a feeling that I do miss. Then I can only get when I'm in the car strapped in for a feature, ready to go with one to go. Like I wish that there was a drug that could make you feel like that.
I mean, it's pretty close because I live in Pueblo, but sometimes when the bullets start flying around, you kind of get that feeling like everything slows down and stuff.
Right. So. I mean, yeah, if your life is on the line, I'm sure that feeling is alive and well. But yeah, if you could capture that feeling and aura in a bottle and sell it, man, you'd be a billionaire overnight because there's nothing that compares to that. And you can go, for me going hunting next week, like it's close, right? But it's something about you and that machine, and there's nobody else to blame but you. Like your crews put you in the best position, and now it's time for you to go execute. And like you said with the forklift operator example, like I know what I need to do. Sometimes it doesn't go well, and you got other crazy guys around you trying to do the same thing. But yeah, it's that I do miss for sure.
Yeah, that's it is funny though too. Like the older I've gotten, the only thing that bums me out about that is now. I don't know if you remember being like a kid and going to the racetrack. When I heard that sound, I remember going to CNS when I was like 17 years old. My dad had not raced for a long time, so I really had been away from it completely. And we went up there and I heard him qualify, and it was super late at the time. Like I'm like a 17-year-old kid that almost ran to the gate. Like my parents, like we're going to Disneyland, it was just, but now you hear that sound so much. It's not that you just kind of, it's like anything, it's, you get a little bit desensitized to it. And that I'm like, I wish you could recreate that, but I think every time pretty much when you get in the car, you still at least get that a little bit of a pickup and like this is serious and it's it's fun. The competition's fun, but that bums me out sometimes. I'm like, I wish I could just hear sprint cars or something for the first time again, or midgets or whatever it is out there. It's just like, it just doesn't have the same effect anymore.
Yeah, and that reminds me, there's a good song by one of my favorite country artists, Riley Green, I Wish Grandpa's Never Died. And in that song, he's talking about, I wish I could learn to drive again. I wish all those feelings that you only experience usually one time. And that is, a very good example, like going to, for me, Big Country Speedway or, CNS. And it's like, the minute you walk through those gates, I'm on the fence. Like, I don't care if it's mini stocks or freaking rung what you brung. Like, I'm watching every lap. Like, to hell with your cotton candy and all that. Like I'm here to watch this and smell this. But yeah, nowadays you go and like, it's a matter of like, hey, I can't hear you from 3 feet away because everybody's motors are going. It's actually annoying now in a sense. But yeah, you just get desensitized, and sprint cars are very loud, but so transitioning, and I'm trying to catch up on all the comments over there, but transitioning, I guess, to more of the podcast side. I guess, what was kind of your highlight episode for you in season 2? Like what, you can name names, or just kind of what you thought was your favorite moments of the year.
Well, I think I'm in a tweener phase. So I'm not a young guy anymore. I'm 36 years old. So I'm not the kid, the up and coming hot shit that thinks he's going to set the world on fire. And I'm not quite the guy who's past probably what, hopefully what is not my peak yet. I don't think I've learned or done all I've done or I'm going to do yet. So I like listening to the guys that are past me in the next stage, because I've been the younger guy trying to, get as far as I can. I mean, still, that's like I said, I'm almost, but who knows? Physically, when I'll hit my peak, it's hard not to get fat now and shit. So I'm doing my best, but I like listening to the old guys, because it's kind of like what we talked about. And so many of that were actually when we can hit on that a little bit, some of our biggest episodes were guys that weren't the huge names. And one of the reasons I love doing this, because to hear those stories, whether it was BJ Sauer or Gary Land or any of those guys, for one, I can learn from them because they've been where I'm at. And two, they turn into kids again. Like when I see these guys that may be in their 50s and even some in their 60s, which is also unique about racing, they turn into kids at the racetrack again. When I know, like even my dad, when he walks around, his back hurts and shit like that. But you get these old guys at the racetrack and shit, they're hopping in and out of the sprint car. I'm like,
and the stories that you hear, God love, Danny, him and I, I'd be trying to help you and I'd just get sidetracked, and we'd talk for 2 hours about the 70s and Lakeside and all this stuff. And like, I feel like that's another reason, to your point, like, a lot of people don't get to hear these stories, and there could be, something made the newspaper, the tragedy that happened at Lakeside, but there's 51 other different versions of that story or accounts from people that were there that people don't know. And you just get to hear those stories, and it's like, holy shit. Like, I think it was either Danny or someone else that we were talking about that were literally like in the stands right, next to it when the woman lost her life. Like, you don't hear that from, newspaper articles or what have you. So it is cool, to your point, to hear those untold stories. And that's kind of, what we thrive on here is like, hey, you might not know Joe Blow that raced a Pier stock in 1981, at one of these tracks in Colorado, but, to have them or give them the opportunity, I should say, to showcase some of their stories. I think that's a really cool piece of what we do here.
Yeah, that's honestly like being in some of that era before, if you didn't have, and especially the NASCAR side, they got all the coverage. When we even talked to Jerry Robertson, he loved dirt, but he said he still would have went asphalt sooner because that's where all the big names were going. Well, that may be true as far as where the money went and all that, but there were so many guys that even that may be still around, or their kids are in it, or they're just around, even like meeting Danny. There were some guys doing big shit. It's just this region had so little coverage. Colorado's kind of getting to be a hot spot, whether it is on the asphalt side. You got guys that are running nationally, been to the NASCAR, Eggleston to the NASCAR, Hansen at the Snowball, and guys that have run here for a long time, or in this kind of, you wouldn't call it the Midwest, but Western Rocky Mountain region, that you may never have heard of, but that guy might show up and kick your ass. He may not have had the money. He may not have had the equipment, but and that's the only thing that was kind of a shame in this last era right before us. And one of the reasons I like doing the podcast and talking to the guys that may be a little bit older, because I never knew these stories. I wasn't around, and I never got to go to Lakeside or a lot of these places they talk about, Rocky Mountain that closed. So I think if anything that we do, that's why I like the guys that are in that spot too, because I would have never known, and it just makes me, they, for one, make me laugh. All these old dudes, shit was wild. It was a different era than what we're in. And, there was
99% of the stuff they did would be illegal today, and is illegal, but.
So, and even like back to the time where there weren't women in the pits, like the game's changed, and I'm glad, because I probably wouldn't, there's nobody going to help me at the, that you consistently, nobody lives here that works on sprint cars. Trimble's the only other guy in town, and that car's not even here. And he'd help me if I needed. I just mean when we're both racing, it's like everybody's got their own shit going on. Right. But very few people know sprint cars or even any of the open wheel stuff around here. So that kind of makes it fun, just learning about history and stuff like that. Because you've been a student in that game, and I really don't know. I've had to learn a little bit about the history, but even just our local, guys Hall of Fame. That's like Troy Olery. I talked to him after the race, after a long career, 37 years, or I don't know, he'll probably comment on here, but of racing, going into the Hall of Fame, he needs to. We'll be advocating for that, but he's finally hanging it up. And he says, I got nothing to prove. I did what I needed to do, and I had a blast doing it with his wife and family, and just, pretty amazing. I mean,
yeah,
it's a lot of years in the seat.
Yeah, it is. No, and I wholeheartedly agree. And for me, it's a different perspective because my life was, big country speedway, and I'm a history buff, as Blair's alluded to a lot, and I pride myself on knowing, ask me anything NASCAR, and I'm probably going to get a comment now that I said that, but my background was asphalt and NASCAR and going to big country speedway, so I could tell you all the heroes of my upbringing at big country speedway. But then moving to Colorado, obviously, I knew some of the the guys that would kind of come up there, like Eggleston and stuff, like when he was 16 years old, and watching him drive a legend and up there and stuff like that. But one of the fascinating things for me, moving down to Colorado in 2021 and basically starting the podcast right then and there, was like, I'm hearing this all for the first time. Like Lakeside, never heard of it. Rocky Mountain, never heard of it. Like all these different, and obviously, like you said, I obviously didn't get the opportunity to go to a race there, but it's like, I'm hearing some of these names, and a testament to Blair, like a lot of the, local guests, he's brought those to the table, and I'm just along for the ride, and I'm just learning who they are, number one, and what their history is, and just kind of a student of the game almost every episode from here on out. With guests, unless if I know them a little bit, but so yeah, that's I think for me, it's hard to argue that for sure is kind of favorite memories or points, highlights from the year. But I think just in general, the amount of reach that we've been able to get, like we had Chase Rodman and Tony Laporte on, obviously a Colorado guy in a sense. But some of the guys that I never thought when we hit them up, and they'd be like, oh yeah, sure, we'd love to. It's like you kind of take a step back and you're like, whoa, like we're a small thing here, and you're willing. And going back to Jimmy Elledge, like he had, like, we didn't even scratch the surface in that episode. Like he could talk for 4 or 5 hours just on Dale Earnhardt stories or stuff like that, and hopefully we get him on again in the upcoming season to talk more on that. But just, obviously Blair and I kind of talk after every episode, just, hey, great job, or, you did good here, or whatever.
Brandon tells me I suck. Don't let him lie to you.
No. And I specifically, I bring this up because I specifically remember that episode. And I was just so, like, as nerdy and just hearing Jimmy talk. Cause like when you talk about someone that's dead, and that was the biggest name in all of motorsports, and in my opinion ever will be, that was the next best thing.
Especially in America.
Having Dale Earnhardt Jr. or Dale Sr. himself on the podcast. So like I was nerded out. Like I tried to keep my composure, whatever, but Blair texted me immediately. He was like, hey, after the show, and he was like, hey, Taryn, I thought that was your best episode ever. And that was like, holy shit, so that was a fun one for me, because not only was it talking about one of my upbringings of NASCAR, but then we got into the outlaw kart stuff, which he started QRC, as highly recommend you go watch that episode if you didn't. But I think that was a highlight for me, because as Blair says, I'm a history buff, and Jimmy was willing to go through all the historic stuff, and he's been around the sport, like you said, for a long time. So that was a highlight. And like I said, just getting, it was a shock to me, and it means no disrespect to anybody out there, but when Blair and I get a guest on, we can kind of, gauge between us, like, oh, we think we'll get this amount of interaction or viewership. And boy, was I wrong on 99% of all the guests this year, and that's a good thing. Like we try to guess, but sometimes you guys shock the hell out of us. And, we could take Blair Cooper, for instance, just using him as an example. And, he's won a sprint car race and done really well. And I'm like, he might get some 10 views, and 10 or so. And then boom, next thing you know, he's our top rated episode. So
Barry, Hallie get 4 or 5. So he said that was the opportunity of his lifetime. So that is true.
Here I can tell Barry where he ranks exactly here. And I was gone. We just had our daughter. So let's see where.
No, don't do that, because it's got to be at the bottom.
I
That's because he's always giving me shit, if anybody's wondering. But
I don't even,
even Barry's terraces, it was a great seeing all the guests. Even Barry was great. So no, we appreciate all you guys, and it's fun. But yeah, we do want to continue to cover the local stuff. Maybe suggestions on what you guys like to. I mean, we can see it kind of in the back end, but I still think the plan is almost from the bottom, right under Canada, all the way down to almost Mexico. It seems like this region gets the least amount of coverage, and we kind of got sprint car centric. I'm not necessarily committed to that. It just seemed like it was the year for it. And we even reached out to guests in other classes and stuff. So maybe we'll mix it up. Let us know what you guys want to see, or any guests. We pretty much honestly now feels like get in touch with anybody and they'll do it. You just got to send them the back numbers, because a lot of guys don't want to waste their time. I think there's like 200 and some dirt podcasts now. So if you get in that top 10 number, they'll probably reach back out. And we've been lucky enough to be there a few times. So also, I was going to say, if anybody has shirts, I know a lot of guys have been messaging me saying, hey, if I send you a shirt, or we've collected a bunch of shirts now too, we wear it on the podcast. And I love wearing all the shirts. I got my nicknames on tonight, and I refuse to wear Barry's on here. So
it's a good looking shirt. I will admit.
Yeah. So
the moon chassis, that something about that moon, it reminds me of the Bill Elliott Mac Tonight paint scheme, which was iconic back in the day. But yeah, we appreciate, and Blair's not alluding to, you guys need to give us shirts because we think we're something. Like we've physically paid people for the shirts. Like, half my closet is race car shirts from various drivers and stuff like that.
Yeah, so, but if you got old ones, I know guys have told me, hey, do you want my old, I've got one from last year's models. We wear it on the podcast. I'm like, yeah, just because it's fun. Not for anything other than that. But
absolutely.
And then our sponsor stuff, obviously. So we'll be decked out. I'm pretty much a walking billboard anymore for all this different stuff.
I literally had to, with this monthly allotment for October, with Mountain Ops, I literally had to go through this is obviously a display behind me. But upstairs, I literally had to put stuff in bags and boxes and stuff, because it's just and which it's a good problem to have, right? First world problems. But yeah, it's cool that people believe in us this much to get on board and want to partner up with us. So yeah, like I said at the top of the show, we're looking forward to continue those relationships and gain even more. And obviously, we try to spotlight them, and I'm sure it's annoying at times how much advertisement we give to them, but they're the ones who kind of helped this go around. So bear with us on that. But I guess kind of in the closing segments here, looking forward to, next year, I guess prior to the next season would be the off season. So we are going to try to ramp up the iRacing broadcast again. Like I said, we did kind of a late start, early spring. Obviously that takes probably more effort and time than a podcast does. And I
get crashed first lap. Did you buy my brother or somebody we know?
Yeah. Curtis Hildenbrand, still haven't forget. People don't forget. Just kidding. But yeah, it's that takes a lot of work to do the iRacing part of it, and then to go back and do a rebroadcast on top of it. And speaking of Barry, him and Greg were talking to me at one of the last El Paso County races and kind of asking behind the scenes. So I'll share a little bit with that. Not that anyone asked, but it's our show and we can talk about what we want. So how that kind of works is, I won't go too in depth because iRacing is a very complicated thing, and Blair would be lost on the homepage. But nevertheless, so basically, you have to set up the race, invite all the people, and then basically there's a setting in iRacing to save the replay at the end of it. So that's what I would do. And then I would go through and basically sit here. I think I did it just with my headset here and the microphone on my headset, but basically do show notes. Like I didn't know what happened, and I was pretending like I was a spectator in this, even though I usually ran in it and got wrecked. So it's easy for me to talk about myself in that sense. It's weird talking about yourself in a third party in general, but nevertheless, so you're reading show notes, and then you're just watching the race, pretending like you don't know what's about to happen. But the cool thing is, because you do know what happens, you can pinpoint, okay, I'm going to follow Austin on this lap because I know he's going to do something stupid, and it's just by happenstance. You're like, oh, look at that, there's a wreck, so it's kind of cool that way. But yeah, I would say total between setting up each race, doing the race, depending on how long it was, and then the rebroadcast, you're probably looking at 5 to 6 hours every time of just time that that gets put into it. And, and obviously I did it just to see how it went, and everybody loved it. So we continue to do it. And obviously we try to make it strictly for Colorado or the regional guys. Some guys we get from California and stuff, but there's a lot of help too. Mark Bremkamp, without pay, I asked him if he would, help me, be the in-race admin, because there's 15,000 hotkeys that you can press for when Curtis Heldenbrand wrecks you under the pace lap. You got to give him a end of the line penalty and stuff like that. So there's a lot of work going on, but it was fun. So yeah, all that to say, I'm going to try to boot that up again and give you guys some, e-sports coverage from the Colorado guys. I think we are going to tailor it to more of an invite only league this time, because the last race that we didn't broadcast for reasons that I'm about to tell you, there was a caution like every 5 laps, and that's just bad television. No one wants to see that. So we'll boot that up again, try to do one maybe once a month or something in the off season, and have some fun with that. And then, like we said, we'll try to do some one-off episodes if something comes up, or Blair and I just get drastically bored in our lives and twiddling our thumbs. We'll get on here and.
Yeah, and I'm planning on, I'll probably be doing some, I always try to help guys out and stuff too. I've been at the racetrack helping, and I do have a blast doing that with my buddies and stuff out there. Like I said, mostly sport ones. I don't know why, but, and then Kirk letting me drive his car this year. That was a blast, kind of trying to give some pointers on fixing that up. So Warren put that together. I mean, that all came from the podcast. So that's pretty amazing, and had a lot of fun there. But in the off season, if you guys ever need help here, in the state or whatever, for the winter series, just shoot us a message, and maybe you can make it, Brandon. If not, maybe we'll shoot some content, do some stuff for you guys if you need to do some stuff for your sponsors or whatever like that. I have a hard time being away from the racetrack, so even if it's freezing cold, and my motor's getting ready to get sent off, so I really will be dead in the water here for a while. So a lot of ideas if you guys want to shoot us stuff like that or anything over the off season, be happy to help, and want to just stay involved and keep this thing growing. So there's the possibilities are endless. And now with this medium, it's that's kind of my background. Obviously I don't do a whole lot of that for my day job and working with my family, but I kind of handle that side of the business, a little bit of it. And so a lot of fun, but we're going to get some, I'm actually starting to dive more into, now our website's going to be back to roughtruck.com, but I'm going to attempt again. We've done this before, but anything that's not covered, and that's what we'll talk with Hamilton about. The stuff that they don't have, I probably can get it. I just don't want to talk to guys on the phone for an hour and a half while I'm working about 2 AN fittings, for the Red Horse stuff or anything like that. So maybe we can all collaborate and help each other out.
Speaking of AN fittings, do you know what that stands for? I learned this in legend car racing.
Oh, I do, but I can't. Let me think for a second. No, I'm an idiot. Go ahead.
So Ken Joyce, who helped Eggleston, and Josh Berry and a lot of the high names that are in NASCAR now. We talked a lot. Yeah. Army Navy.
Yeah. Army Navy. That's right. Yeah. Yeah. Sorry. I just had to spit it out because I was like, dang, I know what it is.
Yeah. So anyway, sorry. Fun tidbit of racing.
No, sorry. Nonsense. I just shut that down. I just didn't want to feel so stupid.
No, it's good.
And I didn't Google it. My hands were here. So.
Yeah. ChatGPT. But yeah, to Blair's point, and honestly too, like we did listen to, or at least I did, in previous seasons or podcast seasons, we went through a lot of this or that, and we got feedback, and that's good, positive or negative. And we created a mailbag link for you guys, and we'll try to hammer on that in the upcoming season as well. But we took your feedback, like, hey, you guys are boring me on this topic, or you're not talking enough about this. So I think it was all in all a success. But if you guys have any recommendations or stuff that you think you want to hear or see, we're all ears. Obviously, you know how to get a hold of Blair or I, or just hit up the page and we'll see that, obviously. So any recommendations that you have, segments, guests, whoever. Obviously we can't guarantee if we can get guests, because that's a whole story in and of itself. But if you have anything that you think we're talking too much on. Obviously, as Blair mentioned, we were sprint car centric this year. I feel like the state or the region did a poor job on highlighting late models. But yeah,
And
we're open.
even 305's got more coverage, I mean, which that series does a pretty good job promoting, but the URSS, but yeah, I didn't hear a ton about late models. The Midget Club being one of the oldest in the country, I feel like they have so many followers and stuff. That's pretty good. But it says Hamilton. They got, in fact, that's my hat, the Hoosier of the Rockies. So yeah, I saw a lot of people asking where they can get it. So just get a hold of them there, or you can get a hold of Mark or Sam on Facebook. And yeah, but that they'll get you hooked up. They got some cools. In fact, I have your hoodie and hat, Brandon. So get it to you.
There we go. Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt you.
No, I don't even, you're good. This is just a free for all. So yeah, I with all the merchandise and stuff, I'm gonna have to open up a different closet here soon, which is, like I said, a good problem to have. But yeah, that kind of does it for, I think that was everything we had to talk about. I think we covered it all tonight. So yeah, we'll take a little break, and obviously we'll post in advance of when you get to see our lovely faces in the off season. And again, hopefully,
do something.
Hopefully we're invited to any swap trade shows and anything else you guys think that's racing related and would be neat to have us, live on set. We'd be more than happy to come do that. And we were kind of winging it, but we figured it out down there in El Paso for our first live show. And yeah, I think it would be a great opportunity if we could just walk around even and interview random people instead of having just a set. But, obviously we only got limited technology here with us that we travel with. So, but yeah, that's really all I had. And again, just like we started at the top of the show, thank you to Racing Rowdy Ranch, Mountain Knobs, Hamilton Motorsports, everybody that's helped us, behind the scenes. That's, not a company name, but just an individual. And I think one thing we didn't touch on is just all the amount of people, and Barry comes to mind, just coming up to us at the track means a lot. And talking about the podcast, we always got time to talk to you guys. And, there's a lot of questions asked this year on, how we came about doing this and what it takes to do it each week, and kind of the behind the scenes stuff. Maybe not as much as I got into the analytics at the top of the episode, but we really appreciate when you guys come up and acknowledge that you guys, watch us and appreciate, or, I don't think I've ever experienced an encounter where they said you suck and you should, just stop. But, if that's how you feel, then, we, such is life. But
been told worse.
Yeah.
I still would like to I wish I could be a fly on the wall of how many women wish for me to hit the fence every weekend. College girlfriends or something. They're just out there praying. I just junk that shit.
Oh, I'm sure. I mean, I'm sure there's people on social media when we post these every week. They're like, dude, shut the hell up. We get it. You like racing. But for those people that appreciate it, we appreciate you. So yeah. And again, just reiterating, you guys really came out in droves and full forces to support us this year again. And it was our first, first real season, just kind of being dirt, Blair and I, and talking nothing asphalt and stuff like that. And so, yeah, we appreciate you guys each and every single week. And yeah, looking to grow it even more next year, and, even get into regional and maybe even national stuff. And it takes you guys, right? Sharing, telling your friends, telling your family if they live in Alaska or Maine or somewhere, hey, time zones are different, but they can still tune in and watch. So it really starts with you guys, and we wouldn't be here without you. So that's really all. I feel like Forrest Gump, but that's all I have to say about that.
Yeah. Well, there is a little bit of the Vegas showdown, the showdown in Vegas, big sprint car open wheel show there. And then I don't know if you saw the post, but $600,000 to the person who wins four races in that series, and one of them is Colorado National Speedway. So they might.
Yeah. No, I did. Yeah, I did see. Yeah. No, I think. Yeah, I don't.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, we might have to touch on that, kind of like we did with the Spears or whatever the hell that was called. We couldn't figure that out to save our life. But Cars Tour, Spears, late model, merging, whatever the hell that was. But yeah, it's cool to see when you got big purses and big names coming to town. We'll definitely highlight that. So we're not haters of asphalt. It's just we're trying to grow
if there's ever anybody's got a car out there, I saw an LS powered sprint car getting ready to go to the showdown, and I was like, anybody has a asphalt chassis, just, if you need somebody to go out there and tear it up, I will hit the wall as hard as I possibly can if you need me to.
Yeah. I'll go help crew it, and again, act like I don't know anything what I'm doing, because that's true. So. But
Gossels will be there. Hilton. There's going to be a lot of guys from this area. So yeah,
is that next summer?
No, that's in October. Oh, well, the series for the $1 million purse is.
Yeah.
But Vegas Showdown will be coming up here pretty quick.
Yeah.
A couple weeks. Or maybe next week. I don't even know what day it is. But
it is October 6th.
Yeah, it's coming quick then. Maybe next week or week after. But
there you go. And fiscal year's coming to a close here in 20-some days.
Set those budgets, get those cars ready. Don't jack around and wait.
Yeah. 31st will hit you before you know it.
Brandon's going to be back in a car 2026. I can feel it.
Oh, is that breaking news to me even? I haven't heard that yet.
I think so. Yeah.
All right. Well,
getting the busty outlaw car out. He's going to Dodge.
If they'd run them, that was the plan for this year, but they decided not to. So that put a kibosh. And yeah, honestly, the outlaw in this region, the outlaw kart season starts now for the indoor.
I can't afford one, Danny. I'd love to buy them. I just need somebody to give me one. Oh, Hathaway has a chassis for sale. I see them all for sale. Even Gossel's got his Hurricane up. So I
saw that.
I'm pretty much stuck with the dirt because I'm not going to, you could only run 4 or 5 asphalt races.
I've seen, speaking of people selling out, I've seen some wholesale, like Dan Alma on the late model side, like selling everything. I'm like, yikes.
I've been looking at trailers and motors, but so I'm going to send mine off and look to see if I can't get another engine, but you got to really be careful buying used on Marketplace. So word to the wise.
Yeah.
If it's used, and here's a pro tip for anyone. If they say it's 10 races from fresh, it's 18 races from fresh. Just add, 50 to 80%. So, and if it's the perfect best motor they've ever had, then why are you selling it? So make sure you're careful out there. Don't be sending money on PayPal without it being under the business.
Yep. And everything's negotiable in life. Just remember that. Pro tip number 2 for the night. But yeah, news to me if I'm racing next year. If something comes about that's somewhat close, I'll definitely dabble in it. But
maybe I got something set up for us this winter, so stay tuned. I've got something going. But
all right.
Anyway,
well,
it's gonna be new to you.
Post about that. Perfect. I can't wait to hear about it on the post show when you guys don't get to hear about it. So, all right. Well, that'll put a cap on the 2025 season 2 for Throwin Sliders. Again, appreciate you guys for tuning in, and we'll try to post some reels and stuff like that to keep you engaged until we go live or do some more iRaces and stuff like that in the off season. But appreciate it, and hit us up. Continue the conversation. Just because we're taking a break from the season doesn't mean we're dead. So hit us up and continue the conversation. But it's been a ride, been a fun one. However many episodes we did this year. There you go, November 6th through the 9th.
I'm an idiot.
I mean, hey, we never claimed we were the smartest people on the podcast. So, but yeah, that'll do it for Blair and I for season 2. Again, appreciate you guys, and congrats to all of our track champions and first time winners and whatever you may be. We hope to see you and talk about you in 2026. So with that, it's kind of a sad day, but we'll see you whenever we see you. I know you're crying, and Blair's like, no, don't stop the episode, because that means racing's over for the year.
I'm gonna go work. I'll be working on the car the rest of the week, so I at least got that. I'll till I'm dead. It's gonna be race car stuff, so we'll get back at it.
Yep. All right, everybody. Well, appreciate it. And again, for this episode, if you didn't watch us live, make sure you go watch it or listen to us on Spotify and wherever you get your podcasts. And
YouTube. Our YouTube's dead. We're gonna get that going next year. We lost that and had to start it over, and it's terrible. So that's the only place that sucks.
Yeah, it's more of a young buck crowd, so we got to figure out how to get in that as I'm clicking random buttons over here. Oh boy. Okay. That's my cue. That's my cue to end the episode when we're clicking wrong buttons. So, all right, everybody, appreciate you. Until the next time we talk, keep throwing those sliders. Appreciate it. This was another production of Scrub and Tires Media. The Throwin Sliders podcast is hosted by Blair Cooper and Brandon Hall. Video and audio was created by Bryce Holcomb. Please like, share, and leave a 5-star review. And as always, keep throwing those sliders.